Hello, everyone. Woo! Gosh, we've not been live for ages, have we? It's what it feels like. Oh, Gary's just turning up. Here he comes. Here he is. Oh, look at him with his headphones on. Have you got your new mic working?
Well, I think so.
Oh,
hold on a minute. No, it's not that one. So it might be one.
Anyway,
get to do my session. Is that better?
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Speak.
I need you to go into.
We've got him all. We've managed to get Gary all professional and using a professional mic. Where is your mic? Are you speaking to it down here or up close? Oh,
well, now it's just popped out the older.
Anyway, while you're doing that, I'm going to say hello to everybody.
Okay.
Where are we? Vicky Ware's here, top of the shop. Good morning, everyone from Australia.
Morning, Vicky.
Oh, it feels like we've not been here for ages. Jeanette Desar's here. Bonsoir. I have missed you all on a live. We've missed you guys too. Morning from Canberra, says Carol Colbert. Evening from Finland, says Pia. Good to see you. Good to see you too. Gail Dretch, hello from Frazy, Minnesota. I've been following the Phoenix Way for nearly a year. I've watched all the lives on YouTube. I've created a track and I have additional sections to create. Hold on a minute. My coffee's coming in. Thank you. Ooh. Yeah, I got it.
I'll have one, Timmy.
That's for you, Gail. Come on.
Well Brilliant. Done, Gail.
Lovely to have you with us. Well done. Angela's here. Bonsoir from the south of France. Gail says, incidentally, I'm currently rehabbing an EMS Arabian with prior laminitic and metabolic issues. Well, that's double. Well done.
Awesome.
We're looking forward to hearing more about it, Gail. Nobody will forget. We'll all remember. And we'll all be asking. Here's Catherine Brown. Hello, Charlie Brown. Good to see you.
Hi, Charlie.
Leah's here. Good morning, everyone from New Zealand. Hi, Becky's here. Hello, Becky. Angie's here. Hello.
Hi,
Heather's
Angie.
Withenbank. Hello, Heather. Ramona's here. Hello, everyone from Spain. Louise is here. Good evening. Oh, it's nice to see you, Louise. Do you not get enough of me today? Have you not had enough? I was helping Louise and Becky today. They were trimming some very difficult feet, and they put their big girl pants on, and boy, oh boy, did they do a good job between them.
Awesome. Well, we wouldn't expect anything less, would we?
No, they were amazing.
Not with our pros.
Supporting each other. It was lovely to see.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I know it's corny, but
it's corny, but true. Tracy Gray's here. Hi, Tracy. Bonnie's here. Hi, Tracy. Bonnie. Oh, now we've not asked you this for a while. What have you got for your lunch?
What are you got for lunch?
What are you eating for lunch? Susan Mitchell's here. Hello, everybody. Aston says, evening, everyone. So excited to have a live tonight. So are we. God knows what we're going to talk about, but so are we. Aston says, well done, Gail. Brilliant. Me too, Aston. Gail says, thank you. I'm so glad I found you. We're glad you found us too. Here's Melanie. Hello from Pennsylvania, USA.
Hello.
Meta's here. Hi all. We
Hi,
can
Meta.
talk. We can talk about honey as well, Melanie, I think, because we talked about it on the Challenge Club, but we didn't talk about it on the live, I don't think. Jeanette says, could we discuss the common trim error post? Oh, yes, let's discuss that. With osteonecrosis on the lateral edges, please. Thought that might have poked some interest in people. Monica's here. Hello, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
From
good to see you the other day.
Hello, everyone from Germany. Hello, Vivian. Good that you're with us. Nice
Hi,
to have you with us. It's lovely to see you. Charlotte's here. Gosh, we've got loads of people on tonight. Hello. It's just that's what we need to do, Gary. Just go away for a bit longer.
We need to go away for a week
and come back, and everybody's there. Charlotte's here from Devon. Hello, darling. Julie says hello from Two Screens. Good to see you both today.
Yeah, good to see you both today.
We had a good discussion today, which prompted my post that Jeanette wants us to talk about. Gary control yourself, says Jeanette. Silver Lining says hello from New York. Jennifer, hello from Oklahoma. Have we met you? I think we have met Jennifer Kozik before, but that name Kozik, I'm not sure. Smurfette Freedom. Hi, I've made it on time for a change. Yes. Angela Moore's here.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, Angela, all the way from Canada. Bonnie Doyle, fish taco.
Fish taco.
She's having today. Fish taco. Very good. Very good. Randy's here. Hello from Southern Missouri, USA. Hello, hello. Is that a horse
Hi,
looking
Randy.
through your window? Your door?
It looks
I
like
think
it.
is. Shannon's here. Shannon Shipper. Hello, Shannon. Hello from Northern Alberta, Canada.
Hiya.
And I know you're going through the challenges, aren't you, Shannon? So well done, all of you, and welcome. So, well, we're a bit late because we were in a team meeting, which we finished, and Gary's been sorting out his new tech, so his nice new headphones and his lovely new. I don't know what to call it other than a microphone. So I'm not going to call it anything rude. It's a microphone, Lindsay. It's a microphone.
It's a bit dirty. The cover is a bit dirty. Everything underneath is new.
I keep mine nice and clean. Look, I don't know how. Therese says hi from Sweden. Hello, my lovely. Jennifer says I'm working on the 15-day challenge. My gelding is Zephyr. Right, brilliant. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you on the 10-day. If you make it that far, which I'm sure you will. Lydia's here from snowy Ontario, Canada. Oh, I know I shouldn't, but I wish
Lindsay
I was
loves
there.
snow.
I love snow.
I love snow if I'm skiing, but otherwise I don't.
And when was the last time you went skiing, Gary?
I was 14. I'd probably break a leg now. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Oh, God, so did I. I think the last time I skied, I was about 23 or 24 years old. I can't remember, something like that. But, oh, I loved it.
I'm all right as long as there's something on both feet.
Yeah,
I can't do snowboarding, can't do skateboarding, can't do any of that.
Bill be spotted. Hello. Oh, hello, Doe. Good to see you. That's nice that you're here. I'm glad you're here. I really am. Okay. So what did Lydia say? Took all day to blow all the snow. Lynn's here. Hi, Lynn. Good to see you.
Hi, Lynn.
All right. So we've got a good mixture tonight. We've got people from the Phoenix group, members from the Phoenix group, and we got some students and we got some pros as well, which is great. All right. So you want to look at the post on Facebook. Shall we go and have a look? Shall we look at it on the main page? Don't forget, folks, whenever you see posts come up in the Phoenix group, they're on the main page as well. So if you want to join in, if you join in on Phoenix, lovely. Only the Phoenix people can see it, which is maybe what you want. But if you join in on the public page, everybody can see it. My hair's very flat today. Right, let's present arms. Matt says it's not a microphone, it's a macrophone. Indeed it is. Jennifer said, I'm slow with working and chores, but I will make it through the 10-day also. I appreciate all the help I've received on trimming Zephyr so far. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, let's present. Yeah. Here we go. Can you see that? Shall I just blow it up a minute?
Yep.
Oh, God, where is it? Oh.
Did you put this up today?
Yeah. You've not seen it yet?
No.
Okay, so
that's bad, isn't it?
Well, there you go. Let's just show you this. A common trim error. Now, the world, there are so many things that happen to the horse's foot, such as club feet, this, white line disease, seedy toe, bar abscesses, rotated pedal bones, osteonecrosis of any part of P3, arthritis, navicular, side bone. Well, that's 10 I've just gone through, all of which can and are usually caused by incorrect trimming. It's that scary, folks. Incorrect trimming and problems with the trim are why vets are propped up with so many hoof care problems, so many lameness issues, and why the world has spent decades resorting to metal shoes. And now we've got composite shoes and that you can nail on that are meant to be more flexible. I mean, let's face it, if they thought that a metal shoe was really truly remedial, they wouldn't be making composite shoes, would they, that were a bit more flexible? And then, of course, we've got hoof boots, mainly for the barefoot world, so that their horses can be protected when they need them to be. But I have to tell you, I will put myself out there, Gary, and I reckon over 85%, maybe even more, of issues that are caused in horses to do with their feet and things like bust tendons are caused because of common trimming errors, such as this. And it all boils down to very simple things that people, you know, people want to diss HM as much as they can. But at the end of the day, we know why these things are caused, and they're everywhere. Loads and loads and loads of horses, probably hundreds upon thousands of horses, are dealing with this kind of issue, where we have got breakout at a quarter, very particularly, but we could have, this one's got a little bit of seedy toe going on there as well, from a little crack in here. And when we look at these feet, this is the same horse, the same pony, left fore and right fore. It looks like it's the other way around, but these, because this is a right fore, and we're looking at it the way we're looking at it, this is the lateral, and that's the lateral. So these are the sides, even though they look like they're the middles. But if I'd have put them the other way around, that might have just confused everybody even more. There was no way around it. This was the only way I could show it to you. But look at things here that are interesting. There's no real separation. This horse has not got laminae separation caused by P3 rotation, nor has it got separation or issues with the white line caused by anything systemic. Yet here is a great big gaping hole that I have to tell you is painful. And here is a great big gaping hole. And look what it's doing to the sole. Do you see how it's pushing the sole in? That sole's hard. For those of you who have trimmed feet, you know that the sole is hard. And yet this is being pushed inwards. Look. By the dirt that is gradually compacting in this area here and forcing that sole inwards. So it's not entirely forced the wall out, but I can tell you, if you look here, you can start to see there's a bit of a hairline and there's a bit of a hairline here. When there is a weakness in the horn, this can start to crack, and usually in areas like here or here at the back of it. It hasn't so far in this horse, in this pony, but that's one of the ways, one of the things it can do. It can force it apart so much that it begins to bust open at the wall. And that's because so much has been poked in here. And made worse is that when this begins to happen, the owner who's aware of it and is noticing this on and off lameness with the horse, not all the time, but when it gets to be as extensive as this, you usually get on and off lameness. They may be given a nail or a screw to dig it out and poke around in there and poke it all out and then fill it all up with clay or something that is some form of antiseptic. Admirable, except it's never going to clear it. It's like with white line disease or seedy toe, you're never going to clear it because the problem is persisting, which is what's causing it in the first place. Okay, I don't know if there are any questions throughout. No, yeah. What's Bethan saying? She says, hey guys, really looking forward to the next GTLHM clinic in June. Yes.
It's filling up.
Oh my God, it's filling up. It's filling up. There are, do you want to come to that you need to get on. It's going to be sold out way before June. Way before June. It's already doing very, very well. Hi, Marianne.
Hi,
Right.
Marianne.
So where was I? Now let's move on, shall we? Look at the X-rays that are. These X-rays are directly related to these feet, and these were taken. These pictures were taken after these X-rays, but straight after these X-rays, effectively within just a short period of time, and had not been trimmed. All right, so we haven't trimmed these feet, but the X-rays were taken just prior to this. And if you look at them, and I'm going to show you a little video at the moment. I shared this with Bethan earlier and the students. You can see pretty much the line of how it goes, right? But I want you to focus on that distal edge of P3. And when you get to this area here, can you see that it's got a little dent in it? Now, this is very, very common when you have this amount of distortion in the sole, because it's not just at the top, it's underneath, and also compaction from all the crap that's in there. And then you have on and off infection, until eventually what happens is the pressure builds up so much around the soft tissues of the part of the bone here, just like it would on the tip of P3 if the horse was pushed down onto the tip of P3, until it begins to remodel. And that's all caused because of this. Just similarly, and I didn't add to all those things that I mentioned at the beginning, I didn't add cracks to that as well, hoof cracks. Hoof cracks can do the same. Hoof cracks that are going through the wall into the sole and are continually grooved out as well can also do exactly the same to P3. We can't fix that, and now that means that there's a larger gap here around the. It's only small, but it's enough. And then we can't fix that, but we can fix this and this. But we can't fix the change in the bone. Similarly, we can't fix osteonecrosis, because this is an osteonecrosis. We can't fix osteonecrosis of the palmar processes. We can't fix osteonecrosis of any parts of the distal edge of P3, including this front bit here. But what we can do is we can very successfully fix the hoof capsule so that P3 is not in that compromised position anymore. These areas that you see here are from overgrown bar. This is bar that has not been dealt with, and you can see that it's growing down here towards the apex of the frog. We're going to see a little bit more of that in a moment. And you can see that this is bits of dirt and grit and God knows what, and where it's pushing away on this relatively healthy, it would be, hoof wall. And you can see it starting to begin here and back here in the heel as well. And on this side, you've got the same thing going on. And you've actually got a crack in this one. If you go back, you can also see that in this one, you've got a little faint line here where there's a little bit of backtracking of stuff, infection heading inwards at the sole area here. And you can see that this pony has got a little crenna at the front there, and it's got a tiny little one there too. It's totally normal and natural. Horses do have those. But when we go around and look around here, which is where this is being put, where pressure, and this is all folded over bits of accreted sole as well. It's just all got compressed and is pushing in. You can see that this doesn't look as defined as it does around here, and that it's heading towards the same situation as this. So this pony, had this not been dealt with, and it is now being dealt with, and by that we don't mean cutting it out, grooving it out, gouging it out, because that's not how you fix it, even though that is the common desire to do to these kind of things, like white line disease, like seedy toe, cut it out. You've got to think of what caused it in the first place, because just cutting it out, is that going to fix it? You've got to let the foot fix itself and you've got to work out what it is that caused it. It's very, very simple. I mean, so simple, it doesn't seem like it could be possible. Here again, you can see a little bit of bar material. That's that more opaque that you can see there through the pedal bone. And for those of you that have not seen these kind of x-rays, this is what you call a DP oblique. So you're looking down at the distal edge, the top of where it's taken, you're looking down at P3. So you can see it from all these lines here are on the dorsal wall of P3, and these are where all the blood vessels are heading out and feeding the blood vessel that comes around here, which is the circumflex, which then feeds the sole. And these are the palmar processes here. So that just is a good example, because we have the x-ray and we actually have the feet as well, of what's been going on with this pony and why this pony was constantly on and off in pain because of this in its feet. And some ponies have it in all four, or horses have it in all 4 feet. This is specifically a barefoot horse. Shod horses can also have this kind of degradation and deformation caused by constant shoeing. So it's not the realm of just the barefoot horse, although you see an awful lot of it in barefoot horses. So I'm going to just stop sharing there for a moment and come back to you. What do we think? What do we think? Melanie says, are there any dates for the USA in 2025? I was thinking if not, I'd come to GTL. Yeah, July, August. We're going at the end of July. We'll be in South Carolina, and then we are going to be through August heading around the States and Canada. We're probably only going to do 4 venues tops, because we can only do them at weekends because we've got to travel in between. And so that means we've got to stay away for quite a long time. So more news on that in January. Hold tight on that. Jeanette says the poking and filling is what I was advised to do when my boy had this nearer the heel. That is, of course, is what you're going to be told to do. What's going to happen if you get a nail or a screw and you dig in? If you're told to go and dig it away with a nail or a screw, which is incidentally not sterile. What are you doing? Would you like to stick something under your nail?
I wonder what you were going to say then.
Your head. Do you think that's the right thing to do? Dig it out? Are you actually going to get all of it out and make it hyper clean? Or what should you be doing? Hello from windy, hot, dry steel hooves, New Zealand. All right there, Joe.
Hi,
Good
Joe.
to see you. Good to see you. Carol says, I've been chasing CD toe for years, stopped chasing, and I think it's just about gone. Same foot that now has osteonecrosis. I know what you meant there. Yeah. And why are we getting, especially in feet that aren't separated? You can understand it if you've got P3 in the wrong position, laminae's been separated, that's very compromised, and it's getting holes and cracks all over the place. You can kind of understand that. But what about these feet? Where in theory, they shouldn't have anything wrong with them. They haven't really got, they haven't got separation. The P3 has been in a reasonably okay position. So why on earth are we getting these horrible gaps down the quarters? Particularly on the lateral quarters. You can find them at any point but it's particularly on the lateral quarters. Why are we finding that? Yeah, I got it. Great lesson. Alison says, great lesson in looking at, reading and understanding x-rays and make sense of what is seen on the sole views. Good. I'm glad. And I'm going to show you a video in a moment. Which you've seen it anyway, because you're in the student group. Jeanette says, allow more muck in and possibly bacteria. Of course, you're never going to get that hyper clean, and you're just going to allow more in, and you're going to poke areas you shouldn't be. Sensitive down there. You shouldn't be poking it and poking more crap in. You should just be going, okay, that's probably a bad idea. Chasing pathology rarely clears the problem up, because you've got to go back to what caused the problem in the first place. Alison says, push infection deeper into the hoof, done even more effectively by resecting the wall. Of course. And yet, chasing the pathology is what they've done for decades, longer than decades. Gone on and on, chasing, cut, dig. Although I do have to say, it's only been in the latter couple of 100 years, and probably only the latter 150 odd years, that we've made things worse for our domestic horses in terms of hoof care.
Interfering too much.
Just by interfering too much, just by thinking you can fix it. And you'd have thought people would learn, wouldn't you, that they're not fixing it. Anyway, so let's go back and share it and see what I wrote on that post. So let's go back in there. And what did I write? Okay, I put a common issue caused by a common trimming mistake. I guarantee to you that there are hoof care professionals out there right now that may even watch this YouTube, who have got horses on their books with this as a problem, and they've never imagined it was anything to do with them. And they've blamed the owner because of diet. Yet the rest of the white line's fine. Do you recognize what's happening here? Well, we've talked about that. And why the hoof looks like this? Well, we've talked about that, because it's compacting stuff around, crap around that area. This is a very common problem that huge populations of horses face. I mean, so common. We come across it a lot when we're seeing new clients. Notice this is occurring on the lateral edge of each foot. Over time, this persistent deformation of the wall and sole has led to changes in the distal lateral edges of P3. We saw that, didn't we, on the bone? We're talking about the bone now, particularly the left fore, causing it to deform and lose bone, which we know as osteonecrosis. This is a direct result of constant pressure on the soft vascular tissues around the bone, just similarly as it is when you are rotating, starving it of nutrition with persistent low-grade infection, resulting in on and off lameness, or off and on lameness. The same thing happens when P3 is placed in a hyperpositive position, rotated, and the tip is under constant stress. Incidentally, this is the same trimming area which causes seedy toe and white line disease. We know the reasons behind this very common problem, and more importantly, how to prevent it. The question is, do you? We can't bring bone back, though. Those miracles we don't perform. No, we don't. We're good at performing miracles. We don't, not those miracles, sadly. So what do we think? What's going on here? Let's stop sharing and go back. What do we think is causing it? And if you're a student or a pro who knows the answer to this, you're not allowed to answer. Keep quiet. Shh them. It's not difficult either. It's very obvious. But I'd just like to hear what you guys say. I got very bald this evening for some reason. I don't know. Is it because the foot is trimmed flat, as if for shoeing and not allowing the natural arch to form? Boom. That's one. Absolutely. But what are they doing if they're doing that? What are they not doing? What are they not doing if they're trimming flat, side to side, with the quarters? What do you think they're doing? Answers on a postcard, please. Gary and I'll just have a nice little chat. All going well? How's your ears going? Can you hear nicely? Does it all feel good?
Yes, I can hear lovely, but my ears are getting hot.
Are they?
My ears are getting hot.
I have got
But they're fine. They're fine.
I've got, you know, I've told you this many times before, that I'm so.
It's your comfort blanket, isn't it?
I am. I come into my office, I put them on, just because people often send me voice messages a lot during the day, and they stay on all day long until I leave. And it's just this night. And if I haven't got them on, I don't feel like I'm complete when I'm sat in my office. Not balancing. Brilliant. But what does that mean? Because I can guarantee to you, the person doing it thinks they are balancing. Maybe leaving the bar. Well, the bar isn't actually to do with this. People think it is. People think that the bar's pushing the wall out and causing that. No, it's not that, but that's just another typical thing that will happen to a foot like this, because you saw it on that one where there's quite a lot of bar. Granted, it did need a trim, but that infected horrible area had been like that for a long time. So it's not the bar that's causing it, but that's just an exact. If I saw that, I'd be like, oh, well, I know what's going on here then. They are not trimming to the HSP. It's that simple. It is that simple. They're not. And even if they're leaving the hoof wall just a little tiny bit above the sole, because they're just a little frightened that they couldn't possibly come down to the sole because the world has told them that if you do that, it's going to make the horse footy. No, but they think that that's what's going to happen. So they can't possibly do that. That person is employing PPT, personal preference trimming. Because they are allowing that hoof wall to be just above the hard sole plane, that is enabling that area to do funny things that it shouldn't do. And sometimes it also compacts. It grabs the dirt and it begins to get in there. And then it begins to push apart. And once that has begun, that's very difficult to stop it as a PPT trimmer, because you're still not trimming down to the hard sole plane. Failing to trim to the happy, I know what you mean, HSP. No quarter relief, no HSP. And this is vital you understand this, because the world, not you guys, because you're very well versed in the hoof now, the world thinks that medial-lateral balance comes from the quarters. It doesn't. Medial-lateral balance comes from the heels. That is what sorts medial-lateral balance out. But people think it's the quarters. Vets think it's the quarters. That's why you see that when they're looking at a foot from above, and it might look a little bit twisty, that they go, aha, from above. We need to put a lateral extension on, because that foot doesn't look even from above. Shocking. They should be looking at it from underneath, clearly, but we know that they don't. So where's that lateral extension? Is it in the heels? No, it's usually in the quarter. They're trying to balance that horse's foot across the medial section, across the widest part of the hoof. That's not how a horse's hoof works, because it has a natural arch. It may be a tiny arch, but it has a natural arch. And the only way that you can find that passive natural arch is by trimming to the HSP. But here's something that foxes people. Because they don't trim to the HSP, that sole does funny things sometimes. It can compact more on one side and it can be lower on another. So you could effectively have, not the heels, remember, we're not talking about the heels here, we're talking about just that quarter area on both sides. You could effectively have a quarter on one side, a little bit lower than the quarter on the other side. Oh no. Those people who think that the horse is balanced across its quarters would never do that. They would keep those quarters the same height. Especially if you're putting a shoe on, right? You wouldn't know anything different. You keep the quarters the same height. But then, what does that mean with that sole that's slightly at a different angle on both sides? Well, that means that the one down here has got a bigger hoof wall next to it, trapping more crap next to it. And gradually over time, in and in it goes, and out it gets. Balance. It's just about proper and correct balance. But instead of them thinking the medial section of the foot is what's balancing the horse, forget that. That's important. Of course it is, because the horse goes into soft ground. It's not always on hard ground. Of course those quarters are important, but they shouldn't be long and they shouldn't be above the hard sole plane. So when you come and trim a horse and you trim it down to the HSP and then you wait, we've told you this so many times, and when we have students it freaks them out, but a maintenance trim, you shouldn't need to trim more than every 6 weeks. I know there are people in the world that tell you should trim every 3, but you shouldn't have to. The trimming every 3 or every 4 should be done on poorly feet that need a lot of change happening to them. But the maintenance feet, the feet where there's no separation, it's all good, you just every 6 weeks. If you are trimming to the hard sole plane. If you're not, then you're going to have a whole host of issues in that 6 weeks that are going to be a problem. You might be taking the toe off. It's not going to grow as fast as the heels. You might be leaving too much heel to start with. That means that by the time it comes to 6 weeks, you've got way run under heels and an imbalanced foot because you took the toe off. And then you didn't trim the bars down to the HSP. So by the time it got to 3 weeks, you've got masses of bars popping up and everybody's like, oh, well, if it popped up, it must be there then. No, it's just that you didn't trim it correctly 3 weeks ago. And then the quarters, they're that far up above the hard sole plane. By the time it's 6 weeks, they're like that. Because everything grows roughly around about a centimetre-ish, depending on the horse, of course, and depending on what they're doing. But if you've trimmed everything down to the hard sole plane, then you've only got a little bit to trim when you turn up the next time. And more importantly, the horse has kept their feet balanced. We come in and we go, oh, those quarters are popping up, down they come. Because we know that we're not trying to balance the foot across the quarters. We're only balancing across the heels and from heel to toe. So what does that mean with seedy toe, white line disease? The same issue. Horses are not balanced in a dorsopalmar plane because they take the toe off or they leave more toe and leave too much wall above the hard sole plane. And then we have separation caused by a dorsopalmar imbalance, i.e. P3 in the wrong position. That is a balance issue, a huge balance issue. That means seedy toe gets to get a hold because the white line is separated there. You start to get cracks because you've got a natural crenna and it wasn't designed to have that big space of white line. That all then starts to get in. Before you know it, it's a shit show. And that's because they just didn't do one simple thing. Balance to the HSP. Simple.
Just that simple.
I was given this by my Morgan group. Either you love Morgan horses or you're wrong.
That's cool.
Yeah, they gave me that as a little birthday present. That was our Morgan group. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that? Bethan says the horse walks on its foot from underneath. Correct. Funny that. Jeanette says, like they want to trim natural flare. Of course. Now, going back to that foot, you could see that it was, in fact, a little bit different in shape. There's a little bit of natural flare going on there, but you couldn't tell exactly because it's so damn well distorted. And so how do you fix that? How do we get a situation like that and fix it? What should we do for that horse? What is it that we should be doing? Poking, scraping, digging, resecting? Should we do all of those things? What should we do? Alison says, if you're trimming a horse with this, how often should you trim while correcting it? As heel and wall on this affected side can be back up above HSP really quickly. They can. And that's what we're going on to now, which is you've got to get right down to the HSP, which usually means you've got to understand that on the side that's all lumpy, let's share this again. Yeah, that one. Let's share this again. You've got to get right down all the way through all of this crap. And you're right down to where this part is at that moment in time. So that actually on this foot is a lot. So when you're all the way down there, and this is much cleaner, you'll see there's a gap, but it's not quite as horrendous looking as it is. Now, depending on the situation and how bad it is, would depend on how often you trim. If you've trimmed it down to the HSP, then there's not an awful lot you're going to be able to do until 4 weeks down the line, 4 to 6 weeks down the line. However, what can also happen with these feet is they compact because the person who was trimming them hasn't really realized that this is all compacted as well, because they've been allowing the sole to compact. You don't trim to the HSP and you leave a little bit above, stuff starts to compact. You know that with the heels. Next time you come, you've got compaction. So you leave a little bit above the compaction. Next time you come after that, you've got compaction. You don't realize it's compaction because it looks like hard sole plain. So you go above that. I can tell you that with this pony, they trim down to the HSP, and within 2 trims, practically an entire part of this, all of this nearly shedded. And suddenly there was a ton more wall to come off. And then you could really start to see the damage that was happening in this foot. So you start by going down to the HSP and really down. So this foot here on this side, you can see that this looks like it's almost down to what you're seeing is the HSP, but this one's got a long way to go. Yeah, if you try to balance it from side to side, they'd still be up here. Okay. So that's what's important, is trimming it to the HSP, checking it during that 6-week period. And if the owner or yourself, you go, holy hell, by doing that, I've now encouraged more exfoliation in the foot, and now I can see more coming off, then you get in there. You get in there. Eventually it will stabilize and eventually it will stop doing that. But you chase it down. You don't chase pathology. You're bringing it down to the HSP and keeping it there. Keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it there. And it's the same with everything else. Unfortunately, when they've chopped toes off, there's not an awful lot you can do about that. They hate it when I use that term, chopping the toes. It really gets to them. Well, and so it should, frankly, because it's a trauma that you're causing on the horse. Oh, no, they're just saying that. It's absolutely fine. My horse is absolutely fine. How much do you know about balance? And why would you take that away from the horse? Anybody that says toe chopping is fine are the sort of people that are likely to cause problems in feet like this. You don't trim to the HSP, you're going to cause all sorts of problems. How do you know if it's compaction versus real HSP? Because it will eventually give. And also when you become experienced, if you know that the foot is hugely big when it shouldn't be. So experience, and eventually the foot will give because you're bringing it down to the HSP. So it's exfoliating and it will eventually pop. Lydia says, how's the diet and management on this pony? Now, what it was like? Not because the owner wasn't really trying, but because the owner didn't really understand the horse was kept in a stable a lot. That doesn't help, does it? Dirty, smelly, pooey stable. That's not going to help those holes. And I think part of the reason for that was because it was that or grass. And this pony also had very high off the clock, like Melanie's horse, 300 plus off the clock on the test for insulin, and had been put on gliflozins. One of them, I don't know if it was ertagliflozin, but it was one of the flozins, And the best that they got this horse down to was 90. Remembering, not the right management, pain in its feet. And pain is one of the biggest causes we found at raising those levels, with that cortisol getting in through, flooding the body and affecting those insulin levels. And it went onto its new track system and its new system, and it was on there for just 3 weeks, and they did the blood test again, and it was all the way down to, I think it was 27, within really reasonable limits. And the vet, I think his eyes nearly popped out on stalks. No pain, clearing the problem, lots of movement, better gut. Everything sorts itself out. 3 weeks. So it's probably possible that it went down much quicker than 3 weeks, maybe even within a week. Only way we'd know that is if we continue to do blood tests, poor thing, by stabbing them every 5 minutes. But they're not lab rats. Joe says, here in New Zealand, feet grow so fast in spring and autumn. I trim 4 weekly or the growth is huge. And I always trim THSB, but in winter, 6 weeks easily. How do you guys find growth rates there? It's interesting you should say that. It's not so much that they're growing.
It's about the wear.
Faster rate.
It's the co-trimming. It's the co-trimming. How much exercise are they getting? And on different surfaces. And of course, for every horse in every situation, that's going to be slightly different. That's going to be slightly different.
And in spring and summer, you get compaction.
Yeah.
Things change all the time. It's not always to do with growth rates, but growth rates are an important factor. But again, in the spring and summer, if you're trimming down to the HSP and that horse is doing regular movement, if you've got a horse that's going into stable for hours a day, then coming out and doing a bit, and then and all of that's going, or the horse is doing more work now in the summer, that actually should keep the wear down. There's always a lag period as well with growth rates. But what I do know is that if you imbalance a foot, then it all goes to pot. Everything goes to pot. What if in order to balance the heels, one heel is lower than the quarter on its side? What should that tell you? It's a good question. Karen?
I'm just making sure that I understand the question.
What they're saying is when you've lowered the heels down to the HSP at the back, and then you look forward to balance, you've got a lump in the quarters. In other words, it's going up at the quarters to the toe.
Oh, there's compaction there. There's compaction there because once you've got the heels down to the hard sole plane, you've got to balance that toe, because otherwise it's going to tip P3 instead of it being like this. It's going to put it into either ground parallel or slightly negative. Balance
it'll be rocking on the quarters.
Balance always starts with the heel, and then if you go forward, and this is always if there is hoof wall in play at the front of the foot, because that is your balance point. If there are high spots on the quarters, then there is compaction on that quarter. Compaction stroke callus.
And just to further complicate it, if the toe has been removed and that horse is callousing its sole and at 10 to 2, but you're bringing the heels way back, you can't trim beyond the apex of the frog, but you still don't need high points.
No.
It mustn't be lower, but it has to be the same height, but you've got no toe as a reference point. So you have to wait for that toe wall to come down, which is then going to enable you to see the true balance for that horse. Because usually when toe has been removed over time, is that in fact there isn't enough at the front of the foot by a long stretch, usually. Hence the reason why horses penetrate. They're not penetrated because P3 suddenly lost it's lost its will to live and it's gone. It doesn't do that. It's the hoof capsule that's doing it. What does the whole rest of the leg go down as well? Does it sag through its fetlock and its elbow and its shoulder? Or its hock? Chopping toes off equines is like declawing cats. Look at the cat avatar. Toe choppers are amputating a portion of the foot that is needed. Of course they. But they will give you every damn excuse. It helped with the breakover. It's stopping lever forces and tearing the laminae. It's not doing any of those things. Never watched a horse walk? It's not doing any of that. My horse trips if you leave too much toe. It's usually because your trimmer's not trimming correctly and balancing properly. Oh, my trimmer's the best trimmer in the world. Of course they're doing that. How do you know? Could you pick up a foot and balance it? No, I leave that to my trimmer. And then you don't know, do you? You don't know. How do you know if your farrier's doing well? Because he's a great farrier and everybody uses him. He's wonderful, such a nice man. How do you know if he's balancing properly? Well, I just do because I trust him. Right, okay, that's lovely. I'm so pleased. I'm pleased that you've got so much trust. He's kept my horses going for years. What in shoes? What about taking the shoes off? How's he going now? Is he going all right now? Oh, no, he's not. Oh, bugger. Couldn't have been doing him any favours then, could it? I know that when my trimmer leaves the toe, my horse trips. It does trip. Right. Okay. Funny they don't with ours, Gary, isn't it? It's interesting. And I mean, you've only got our word for it, I suppose. No, you haven't. You've got thousands of people in the Phoenix group, all our clients, and 60 plus students and HMB pros going through our course that are either out there trimming or just about to go out there trimming. Their horses aren't doing that either. Are we just making it up? What are you going to say that when we've got 500 pros out there all over the world doing well? Are you going to make it up then? There was even a post, we talked about this, didn't we? There was even a post the other day that was put out on the internet with the long toe, low heel thing, and they tried to make it out as if it was one of our students. We found out it wasn't anything to do with us.
No.
Ooh, it's bad out there. It's bad. Marion says, really interesting. It's really interesting. Do you know what's even more really interesting? Is that people can't be patient. No. They want to dig. In fact, I saw it on the internet only the other day talking about seedy toe and white line disease. She said, the person, go and get a screw or a nail. Dig it away. Don't dig too much because you might harm the foot. Well, what's too much? Have you got a gauge of exactly how deep they should go? Just that deep? That deep? Just a little tiny bit? Or all the way in? What should you do? Pick every day or just every few days? Pick 3 or 4 times a day? Or just once a day? Joe Kirk. Everyone on their track, I trim 4 weekly and then move heaps. It's absolutely fine. You carry on doing that. But what would happen if you trim 6 weekly? If they're fine. If they're not fine and you've been realigning and rehabbing, they're likely they do need 4 weekly. Love how you both explain everything so beautifully. Thanks from us all. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Horses with wedges don't trip. Never seen it. Need to buy. Never seen it. Bethan, same here. They gallop round, no tripping. Of course. But they need their shoes. Otherwise they can't cope. Quite right, because if you take them off, they're crippled. Let's play this little video for you. Where have I put it? Let me see if I can find it. I don't know whether I've put it. Oh, hold on a moment. I might have got it. There it is. Hello, darling. There it is. Are you there? Let me invite. No, I don't want to invite. I want to share screen. You see it?
Yeah.
Ready? Everybody ready? Here we
Yep.
go. So you're going to have the left-hand side, the left 4 is going to go first, and then it'll be the right 4. It's not particularly fast, but it lasts about a minute. All right. Let's just watch what happens. That's super interesting, isn't it? You can see the bars as well in there. Now we're going over to the right 4. You can see how that damage gets so close to P3. Look at that. Little tiny P3 in there. That's super interesting, isn't it? You can play. If you play that over and over, you see more things every time you play it. Of course, the angles aren't exactly correct, but it's pretty good, pretty good. So there you are. What am I doing? Stop sharing. Stop screen. There we go. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Very good.
All the time. Yeah. Wow. All that was prompted by my
conversation with a couple of students.
Yes.
In Aberdeen.
This morning. In Aberdeen.
That would be 2 screens.
That would be 2 screens. That was prompted by a conversation about this one particular pony who they have got lots of that kind of separation. So you've got to be very careful when people say to you, and you yourselves, in the terminology that you use, because oftentimes I will get a client say, oh, my horse has got loads of separation, and you're like, what sort of separations do they mean? And then they'll send you a picture and you see that. So that's not what we would class as separation of the white line. That's been pushed apart by crap getting in there. Yeah. How did the owner find HM? Will we see an after trim? Yes, I have some after photographs. Don't know if I'm allowed to show them. I'd have to ask the person who's watching. She would have to tell me. She might have to private message me. I can show you. In fact, I think it may have been. Can I? Okay, fine. Fair enough. It's at Bethan's. It's at GTL. Do you want to see it? I've got pictures. Hold on. Hold on. Here it comes. What did I do with it? Bethan, I think even Bethan posted this on her page, so that's fine. We can show you what it looks like now. So let's show you this foot. Yeah, that's correct. There you go. There you are. So that's the foot. Remember that all down here? This is the first trim. There's a little bit of red breaking out here from bruising. Getting the bars down as much as possible. A little bit more to go just here and here. And this is coming right down now because the trim went right down to the HSP at that time. Can you see how wide open it is down here? It's starting to crack in this area here. Can you see it? But it's clearing it. And then look at this one. This is when a lot of that sole, it looks like it's been scalped. It hasn't. It's when a lot of sole came off. Look at the difference in the shape of the foot from this one to this one. So I'm looking sideways because the picture's over here on my other screen. Can you see it's a completely different shape? Because now finally this has come down. This area here isn't just extra thin. That's bruising. Again, usually caused by imbalances. There's bruising in here. And you can really start to see the damage that is being uncovered now in this foot. The splits you can see down here. Look at that. But it's starting to clear.
You can see it's recovering, can't you?
Looks like a completely different foot, doesn't it? And here's the other one. And Bethan's actually put information on this one. So 20th of September, first trim. Just before, sorry, the first trim. This is when we had the x-rays. This is after the first trim. You can see how much has been cleared by actually going down to the HSP and how much damage there has been. Okay, no toe chopping going on here at all. But you can see where the sole has been splitting itself open. Or rather, because of infection that's got in, which is all underneath this here. And this isn't 6 weeks, guys. This isn't just in 6 weeks. This has been getting like that for quite some time. And then this foot. And look at the difference in shape. Wonderful trims by Jan Brooks-Mank. All down to the HSP, following the HSP. Now you can see that it's starting to clear. And eventually it will go. That horse will always be a little bit compromised around the area that has got P3 damage, but if kept healthy on the right track, pardon the pun, moving lots, then it's good news for this little one. It's good news indeed. Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
I think I'm going to have a punchline.
Go on then.
When you get the trimming right, the hoof is so predictable.
So
So predictable every time. Follow Mother Nature's constant and a little bit of time. A little bit of time and a little bit of patience.
Get off now.
He sounded
There
as
we
though
are.
his claws were in the microphone then.
Yeah, they were digging into me. Tree says, thank you for another great lesson. Hands on, yellow, heart red. That's just because, yeah, I get that. Bethan says, trimmed again tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing how the healing is progressing. Oh, well, we'll get to see that. If you wouldn't mind sharing, and we'll have the 4 pictures then, so we can see the healing progressing. That's wonderful. That's amazing, says Jeanette. Bethan says, we kept pony in boots between the first and the second trim to prevent more stuff getting jammed in. Good idea. He's been boot free since the second trim, as there was no cavity anymore. Yet,
fantastic.
Bethan, because I know you've spoken to the owner, how long had that been going on? That cavity had been going on quite a long time. Marianne says, brilliant. Brilliant job as always, Bethan. Fascinating demonstration of wrong trimming versus correct trimming and how quick you can turn it around, right? How fast you can turn that around. Great job, you and the owner. And it's important to say that no extra trimming was done in terms of cutting into that area, cutting it away. I've done that in the past years ago when I thought that was the right thing to do. I've even got my nippers and cut all that area away when I didn't understand about feedback and growth rates and all of those sorts of things. That didn't clear it. That just didn't interrupted natural growth rates in the horse's foot. So you can't carve it out. You've just got to keep that foot balanced properly to the HSP. Gail says, thanks for great information. Brilliant. Aston says, it's so unnecessary for that to have gone on for as long as it did. I know. And what was the way out for that pony? Not this way out. What a genuine pity. It's a genuine pity for the ones that don't get help. Luckily, this pony has got help. Amazing to see the healing path opened once at HSP. And remember, this pony went from 300 plus off the scale to below 27, no, to below 30.
In 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. He'd been trimmed by the same trimmer for 18 months every 6 weeks. Now, every 6 weeks things shouldn't be a problem, but was because this trimmer probably wasn't trimming down to the HSP. And you know, well, I know they weren't, but I, you know, it sounds like we're having a go. Well, kind of, we are, because if you don't understand that fundamental, well, not kind of, if you don't understand that fundamental issue of the gravity of not doing that, then you're going to be chasing all of these problems. You know, I see people all over Facebook waxing lyrical about hoof care because the equine world, and you see it in all these groups. I don't visit, I'd rather lick windows, but you know, you see it in all these groups that everybody's an expert, and they're not an expert at all. You see it all over the internet, everybody's an expert, and they're not an expert at doing what we do, which is trimming to the horse's natural parameters. In fact, very few of them are. And if they aren't, guaranteed that the owners aren't. So you know that when they're saying all of this stuff, and then you scratch a little bit further down and you find out a little bit more about these people, and they've had laminitis, and they've had Cushing's, and they've had horses that have been footy, and they've had horses that have had to go into shoes, and then they've come out of shoes, and then they couldn't cope, and so they went back onto shoes, and that they've had separation and couldn't walk, and they've had these awful laminitic episodes that they keep having, unbeknown to them and the vet and the fact that it's been caused by incorrect trimming. And of course, not the right kind of diet management, but the hoof capsule problems, all incorrect trimming. And yet they're the experts that tell the world that what we're doing is wrong. And yet we keep showing you all rehab, getting better. It didn't, leaving those quarters down to the HSP and not levering them off or cutting them off didn't stop that pony from healing, did it? Because the balance was right. Bethan says vet actually referred him to us. He was the one that got referred. Insurance helping to pay. Vet had no other answers apart from to show to shoe him. God, was that going to be an E or a T on the end? No other answers but to shoe him. That was their answer, and that's not going to fix it, is it? I remember the pony you mean. Just amazing. Well done, Vet 2. They will change their management now, surely. Probably not. You talking about the vets? Don't count your chickens. Interviewing for a farrier right now. Asked how they know how far to take the toe back. Great question. They told me they just use the center of rotation. Oh,
God.
I wonder how. Also said they won't take quarters down. Still looking. Oh, Shannon. You've got to learn yourself, my darling. Bethan says owner now has an HM trimmer on board for when he returns home. Fantastic.
Super.
There's a post that's been circulating recently. A horse cannot get better in the same environment that made them sick. So true, as proven in 2 trims for Daffyd. Do you know, yes, you're right. But even that environment can be changed if possible. But a lot of the issues are trim related. You know, of course, they're diet and management related as well, but so much is trim related. If you could get the world to trim to the standard of the HSP, which is the horse's standard, it's not a method. I am so tired of hearing it. The HM method, the Phoenix method. It's a way, because it's all of it. It's not a method. It's the horse's constant. I'm following theirs. We're following that. It's easy peasy. It's ever so lemon squeezy. So easy to do. If the world did that, we would eradicate immediately tens of thousands of horses with lameness. It's that profound. But with that, says the cynical side of me, would be an awful lot of people losing jobs that are all based on pathology. Oh my God, I'd rather lick windows. Never heard that before. That's me.
I'm surprised because you say it all the time.
I guess I'm going to have to join Facebook. Maybe I could get input on my Mac and his and our journey. Absolutely, Gail. If you join Facebook and make sure you put an avatar up, you can keep your profile completely private, but you can join the group, answer all the questions and the group rules, and you'll get in. But our admins are primed not to let in avatars that are, or new accounts that are under 6 months. So if you have a problem with that, message us and we'll let you in. Okay, because they get spammed and scammed. What is the center of rotation? It's when you come down from the center of each bone through down into P3. P1, P2, down into P3, the central rotation. Right above the distal interphalangeal joint.
Don't worry about it. It'll just confuse matters even more.
Then
It's misinformation. Don't worry about it.
When a horse, now this is the interesting thing. It's the same with trimming to the HPA, the hoof pastern axis. When a horse is trimmed to their constants and they grow a healthy foot because of it, they have a natural center of rotation and a natural HPA. You don't need to worry about that. You just need to know how to balance the foot from below. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
Aston, that's what I'd like to know. We told you, that's it. That's all you need to know. Gail, LRC admin, I'm going to look out for you, but there is an automatic system that may reject. There you go. Right. We're going to leave you to it. I can smell my dinner cooking. I'm going to go. Late
I
as
had
it
an
is.
early dinner, but now I'm starving. It was hours ago.
All right, my lovelies. I hope you enjoyed that. There won't be a live tomorrow because I'm picking Asher up from the train station and we've got a ton of stuff we've got to do. Don't know if we're going to have one on Thursday. Ooh, maybe not because I've got a full day and we've got the 10-day challenges on Thursday as well. So Friday it'll be, folks. Gary's in Paris on Friday. It might just be me on Friday. We'll have to see. Talk nicely to me. And I might do that because I'll be home alone because everybody will have left me. So I might do one then.
You might
All
be
right,
in my
guys.
house. You might be in my house. You might be in your house.
I might don't know where I'll be. All right, my lovelies. Take care now. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.